Alright, so class, the goal for you today is for you to be able to find unit rates using ratio tables and graphs. So, first, let's pretend that 4 ounces of walnuts, alright, costs $3.20. What I want you to do is, knowing that, calculate the cost per ounce. Alright, so, since we're finding the cost per ounce, cost goes on top, divided by, so you can use a fraction bar, number of ounces. Alright, so the cost is $3.20. The amount of ounces are 4. So I'm going to write $3.20 all over 4 ounces. Now, what we need to do is find out how much those walnuts cost per ounce. So per 1 ounce, we want to figure out their price. And a lot of times you'll see at the grocery store, you'll see after you look at the price down low in fine print, it'll tell you how much that product costs per ounce. So like for example, if you're buying cereal and you want to get a better deal, don't look at the price, look at the price per ounce. The cheaper the price per ounce is, the more you're really saving per the weight of the actual cereal. But anyway, we've got $3.20 all over 4 ounces, but I want to know how much, walnuts. I want to know how much those walnuts cost per 1 ounce. Well, in order to do that, you have to change that 4 ounces into a 1. By dividing the bottom by 4, you change the 4 ounces into 1 ounce. But like you guys know from the last unit, whatever you do to the top or the bottom, you have to do the other. So, since we divide the bottom by 4, we have to divide the top by 4. $3.20 divided by 4 is 80 cents. So, it turns out that the 4 ounces of walnuts costs 80 cents all over 1 ounce, or 80 cents per ounce. Alright, and next one. For example, let's say you completed 75 sit-ups in 3 minutes. I want you to calculate the sit-ups completed per minute. So that means that sit-ups will go on top, minutes will go on bottom. 75 sit-ups on top, 3 minutes on bottom. But we need to figure out how many sit-ups were completed per minute. So on average, how many sit-ups were completed in 1 minute? So all you have to do is I write 75 sit-ups over 3 minutes, and I set that equal to 1 minute. In order to go from 3 minutes into 1 minute, you have to divide the bottom by 3. If you ever do the bottom, you got to do the top. So I divided the top by 3 also. And 75 divided by 3 is 25. So it turns out that on average, after doing 75 sit-ups in 3 minutes, that person completed 25 sit-ups in 1 minute. Alright, this is called a unit rate. This is just a rate. A unit rate, though, is some amount over 1. 1 unit, a unit rate. Alright, now you guys are going to love this because this is the only slide besides that first one. So, for example, we're going to be dealing with charts like this. So, this side I've got the number of ounces, and then these two columns I've got the cost of walnuts and the cost of pecans, or pecans, whatever you say. Alright, so cost of walnuts. 1 ounce of walnuts is 80 cents. 4 ounces is $3.20. Pecans, we don't know how much 1 ounce costs, but I know that 3 ounces costs $1.80 and 3.5 ounces cost $2.10. So now what I want to do is solve for the missing values that belong in these blank boxes. So first, walnuts. Alright, I want to figure out how much 3 ounces is going to cost. Well, I'm going to write the cost all over the number of ounces, which is 1. So, 80 cents all over 1 ounce. And I'm going to set that equal to some amount we don't know yet, that's what we're solving for, all over 3 ounces. Well, in order to go from 1 ounce to 3 ounces, you have to multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by 3. Since I multiply the bottom by 3, I also have to multiply the top by 3. 80 cents times 3 is actually going to give us 2.40. So I'm going to write in here 2.40, and now I can fill in my table with $2 and 40 cents. Alright, if 1 ounce is 80 cents, another ounce, 2 ounces would be $1.60, and then another ounce, which would make 3 ounces, would be $2.40. Alright, and now, since I already know my unit rate, how much the walnuts cost per ounce, I'm going to write the amount 1 ounce costs all over that 1 ounce. And I'm going to set that equal to, well, now we're trying to figure out how much 3.5 ounces costs. So what I want to do is figure out what number do I have to multiply 1 by to get 3.5. Well, that's easy. And that's the nice thing about unit rates. You're dealing with the number 1 a lot, so it's pretty easy to calculate. 1 times 3.5 is 3.5. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by 3.5. Let me make that multiplication sign a little bigger. And you know what, let me make these a little bit bigger also, since we're dealing with decimals too. And then we're going to multiply the top number, the numerator, by 3.5. Alright? When you work that out, 80 cents times 3.5, let's see, that's going to give you, and if you want to work it out at home, work it out at home, but I'm just going to do it in my head, I'm going to get $2.80. So, $2.80. So $2.80. I'm going to fill in my blank space down there with $2. And 80 cents. So now I know how much each weight is going to cost. Alright? That's just for walnuts. Now, pecans. I don't know how much 1 ounce is. Alright, so I really want to find that out. So I'm going to use 3 ounces first instead of 3.5, just because if I don't want to deal with decimals, if I don't have to deal with them, I'm not going to. 3 is a much easier number to deal with than 3.5, so I'm just going to use 3. Well, we know that it costs $1.80 for 3 ounces of pecans. So I wrote $1.80 over 3 ounces. But we need to figure out how much 1 ounce costs. So I need to figure out, how do I go from 3 ounces to 1 ounce? Well, to do that, you have to divide. You got to divide 3 by 3 to get 1. So I'm going to divide this side by 3. And whatever you do to the top, you got to do to the bottom. Or sorry, whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. So we're going to divide the top by 3 also. 3 divided by 3 is 1 ounce. Perfect. And then $1.80 divided by 3 is 60 cents. So I'm going to write 0.60, and I'm going to fill in that price right here next to the 1 ounce. So I've got $0.60. And then the last one. Now I know how much 1 ounce of pecans costs. Alright? It costs 60 cents for 1 ounce pecans. But now I need to figure out how much 4 ounces costs. So I want to set this unit rate of 60 cents per 1 ounce equal to some amount, some cost all over 4 ounces. Well, how do we go from 1 ounce to 4 ounces? You multiply by 4. As I multiply the bottom by 4, we're going to multiply the top by 4. So I'm going to do times 4 on the bottom and times 4 on the top. 60 cents times 4 is $2.40. So up top here I'm going to write $2. Let me make a little bit nicer. 240, and then I'll fill in the last bit of my table. $2.40. Alright, so make sure you got all this stuff down. We're going to be working on this for, probably 3 days. Working with a bunch of different situations and calculating unit rates, etc. This isn't too difficult, so we got plenty of time to work on it, but I'm going to stop talking because this has been a pretty short video. So I will see you guys later.